Hey everybody, Dirili here, back with another reading of Destiny's Princess. As always, remember to check on my main channel for much better videos than the ones I have on this channel, as these are the ones that I don't edit and don't read properly well. So we are pretty far along Yukimura's route. We're on chapter 7, Never Die. Later that night,
"Let's go, Masamune." "Yes, sir."
Nobunaga and Masamune set out for Kanoji Castle with just a small party of soldiers. I watched them march inconspicuously out of the back gate from the watchtower. From up there, it was also plain to see the swarms of demons all around. There must have been 1,000, 2,000 even. The forest was shrouded in darkness, but fierce growls and roars filled the air. Theirs was an army of a size I'd never seen. I felt someone's presence standing beside me. Yukimura. He too was looking down. Was a solemn. Okay, so it's not just me. The sentence was written wrong. Sorry. Like I said, it doesn't help.
"With Father leading, there's no need for worry. I'll draw the demons toward the castle. I won't let them disturb Father, nor touch the subjects."
Good. I slowly inched closer to Yukimura. We couldn't afford our actions being noticed by the demons, so the invading party was small. Our only job now was to stand strong until Nobunaga's army safely closed the door into hell. Even if we ended Takayori's magic and the demons, it would be pointless if the castle were lost.
"I swear, I'll protect the castle."
But did you really want to go with them to Kanoji Castle? I'd only known him for a short time, but I knew his personality well enough. Yukimura smiled bitterly.
"Well, I would prefer to be the one attacking rather than the one being attacked."
But it's still a battle. And actually he's up against greater odds here anyway.
"But the castle is where you are."
That's right.
"When I remember that, it's no hardship to stay here and protect you."
Good boy. Yukimura hugged my shoulders.
"Hey, Saya?"
What? Now's not the time!
"Well, after this is over, and everything's back to normal."
Nothing will ever be back to normal again.
"Will you leave the castle with me?"
And go somewhere where nobody knows that we're brother and sister? Yukimura? Yukimura shyly scratched his head.
I know what Nobunaga said, but if I tried to marry you, the vassals would never allow it. And I have no intention of giving you up."
Yukimura's eyes were honest and resolute. I could tell that residing deep within that gaze was fierce emotion being held back. Yeah, that is the most serious I've ever seen him without looking angry. He does just look fierce.
I knew that abandoning my inheritance...
I'm going to heavily edit the beginning of this one. Edit, Dirili, please listen to me and remember.
"I know that abandoning my inheritance to the throne would be a grave crime. But Father is still young and full of life. He could still have another son yet."
His hair is white. How young could he possibly be?
"Plus, I'm sure he was joking, but he did say he wanted to keep you for himself."
If only you knew.
"I'd be worried about you staying here at the castle."
Yukimura joked, and I too smiled along. Oh, come on, Yukimura, don't be silly. I then gave Yukimura my answer. Oh, this is where we select. Okay, so I gotta save here because we're going to do both endings, of course. First, we shall do ending 1. I will give up everything and go with you, my love. Wait a minute. Wait. Wow, there are actually choices to make after this with him, which is unusual because most of the routes you don't have to make any choices after this. Okay, give everything up and go with you leads to chapter B. Final chapter B. And the other one is chapter A. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm figuring this out because I didn't notice this ahead of time. But the second one is actually chapter A, which I have to still make choices on. So, okay, we'll do the first one and we don't have to worry about any more choices for this one. I give up everything and go with you. I looked up at Yukimura as I answered. My country, my castle, and everyone else around, I'd abandon it all for him. I had no hesitation. As long as we could be together, I needed nothing else.
Saya.
Yukimura closed his eyes. As his lips came closer, I closed mine too, just as I was waiting for his kiss. There was a shout from the other side of the door. Of course!
Sir Yukimura!
We immediately pulled apart.
What is it?
You better have a good reason.
The demons have begun to move. Got it. I'll be right there.
After shouting back his reply, Yukimura took my hand.
Well then, after this is over, we'll be wed, even if it's just the two of us present.
Okay. If it meant being together with Yukimura, I didn't mind what kind of wedding we had. However, once the battle was over, I had to tell him the truth. I had to accept the blame for the lies I told in order to save our nation. But for now, all I wanted was to dream of the future we might still have together.
I'll see you later then.
Okay, I pray for your good fortune in battle. Yukimura smiled and turned to go, but suddenly stopped and looked back over his shoulder.
They say, when a fox is married, there's rain at the wedding. But what about a tanuki, I wonder?
Oh, shut up with the tanuki thing. Yukimura, are you really still going to tease me about that?
Dressed up nice enough, even a tanuki might look pretty cute.
Are you saying I don't look cute already?
I can't wait to see what you look like in a wedding dress.
Yukimura then left, and I was alone in the watchtower. I thought back over our conversation, so incongruent with the current situation. My heart was warm with the happiness I'd never imagined finding that day I found the dagger. But, could we truly be married? After he learned the truth, what would Yukimura think of me? No, I can't think about that now. Now I just needed to pray for the safety of him and the other men I'd brought into war. I had to do what I had to do. And, like that, the final battle began. Shh! Hush now. Please don't cry. A mother was frantic trying to calm her frightened, crying baby. All the surviving townspeople and workers were hiding deep inside the castle. From outside, we could hear horrible sounds. The growls of beasts, a man's dying shout. I'd heard them all before, the first time the castle had been destroyed. A handmaid who'd been standing off to the corner spoke up in a quiet voice. Princess, you should not be here. Please take some guards with you and go upstairs. You would be more comfortable there, and safer too in case of attack. No, if the soldiers' protection is divided, they'll be weaker. I'll stay here. What I didn't mention was that here, I was closer to Yukimura.
When I remember that you're here, it's no hardship to stay here and protect you.
I remembered his words. Usually so reckless, he was now suppressing his instincts and helping in defending the castle. If he could tame his impudent heart for my sake, the least I could do was stay near his side.
There's a general among the demons. Watch their movements closely and take him out. Fire, now!
I could faintly hear Yukimura's voice outside. The fact that he sounded near must mean that the demon's perimeter was closing in on us. They were slowly but surely pushing our army back, nearing the central bailey. Perhaps sensing their presence, the agitated baby started to wail. A man shouted,
Shut that thing up! What if the demons realize we're in here?
I'm so sorry! Still holding her baby, the mother pressed her forehead to the floor in apology. The room was filled with an unpleasant atmosphere. If this continued, we'd all snap. I slowly stood. All the people stood around with grim expressions. All the people sitting around with grim expressions turned their eyes on me. I shall smile. I had to smile to try and assuage everyone's fear. Telling myself so over and over, I gave a big smile. Getting angry and yelling is only going to make him more frightened.
Oh.
Like he didn't think of that before. Well, of course he probably didn't, but still. In times of stress, even the smallest things seem aggravating. Right now, we're all stressed. Probably the baby, too, is shouting out of fear. Just like all of us. That's right, I told him. The man seemed ashamed as he hung his head. I sat myself down next to the crying infant. Please, you think about that, mister. I'm so sorry, Princess. I shook my head at the apologetic mother's plea. It's fine. Your baby is beautiful. How old is he? He's 2. His father was killed by the demons. He saw it with his very own eyes. I'm sure that must have been very frightening for him. That's awful. All of the survivors must have been scared, including the man and the baby. Both adults and children alike, all worried and afraid. I know. Maybe this will help you stop crying. I tried smushing my cheeks with my hands and making a funny face. Tanuki face? The baby quieted, but was clearly still upset. The mother looked on, stunned. Okay, how about this? This time I puffed out my cheeks as much as I could. The baby is speechless. He stopped. I took the baby's tiny pink hand. According to Yukimura, I look like a tanuki, especially when I puff out my cheeks. Here, try touching them. Aren't they soft and poofy? The baby pressed his hand against my cheek. The baby giggled happily. Oh, Princess! The handmaid too started to laugh, and laughter soon spread throughout the room. Princess, we truly can't thank you enough. The baby's mother was pressing her sleeves to her eyes. Everyone here thought of me as the princess of this castle. They all waited on and attended to me, just a helpless girl. Even though I was so powerless, so pitifully cowardly. That's not good enough. If I just resigned myself to cowardice, nothing would ever change. I had to fulfill the duty I'd been born to the very best of my ability. I looked around at everyone in the room. For the time being, we all need to be a little patient. Us, my father, and Yukimura as well. Yes, this night was different from the last time. Our men trying to say the castle still lived. But everything will be fine. I'm sure we'll all survive this, right? Even as the people nodded and begun to smile, from outside a sound like an explosion of thunder echoed around us. What was that? I ran over to the door and called out to the soldiers posted outside.
I don't know, but it's possible that the gate to the central bailey...
It was true that I could hear angry roars and screams coming from the gate. The demons' bellowing voices, too, were much closer than before. Princess! The people's fear weighed heavily on my back. Someone needs to go out front and check. Suddenly, there was a scream from the other side of the door. Ugh! Then, there was a heavy thud, like that of a rice bag falling to the ground. Soon after, came someone's dying cry. All of a sudden, the door in front of me was slashed apart. Beyond the door lay the body of a beheaded vassal, and the demon clutching the tragically mutilated corpse to his chest. All at once, the subject started screaming. A demon! They had only just broken through the door, and yet they were already here. The demon cackled and flung the corpse away. People scattered away from the body and the flying drops of blood. The giant demon stooped over and entered the room. Princess, please, you have to save yourself! The surviving vassal shouted at me, blood streaming down his cheek. Oops, sorry. Not again. Was this the night doomed to be a repeat of the last time? Could I do nothing but once more watch and panic as the people died before my eyes? Would I, powerless to help the doomed vassals telling me to escape, run away? No, I wouldn't run away anymore. The demon raised his fist and glared at me. I stared right back at the demon's slimy yellow eyes, reflecting the lamplight, and yelled, "Go away!" Not an instant after I shouted, the tip of a blade appeared forth from the demon's chest. There was a loud cry as the demon's body was cut through. From behind, someone flung a sword, throwing the giant body. Then, from behind the collapsed demon, appeared the face of the man I loved. Yukimura!
We were too late.
Yukimura rushed over to me.
I'm sorry, the demon scaled the wall and came in from the top. We can't hold them back.
His face was full of anguish. No, no! At least he was safe. At least he'd come back to me. Yukimura nodded and proclaimed loudly to the people.
Abandon the castle. We will clear the way, so you all need to escape.
The surviving vassal on the surviving vassal on guard knelt before Yukimura.
But sir, where will we go? There are swarms of demons at both the back and the front gates.
I have an idea. I tugged on Yukimura's sleeve. Yukimura, let's use the secret path.
Secret path?
Yukimura tilted his head quizzically. I nodded. Remember when we went to pick the flowers? The hidden path that had branched off into several roads. If there was one that led to the flower field, there should be one that led outside the castle. Realizing what I meant, Yukimura too brightened.
That's right, the path. What path? An escape path known only to our family. We can cross the moat and come out to the other side.
I'll lead everyone out.
Thanks, Saya. We'll be right behind you.
I nodded back to Yukimura, then raised my voice. Everyone, follow me! I, along with the surviving vassals, led the subjects through the dark castle. Hurry, everyone! Up here! The secret passage was on the way to the watchtower, on the other side of the trap door. I simply had to get everyone there safely, no matter what.
Arrgh!
The demons lunged at us from out of nowhere. One of the vassals faced off and slew him.
Hurry, go!
One by one, the vassals fell. We kept our eyes fixed ahead of us as our group was slowly pared down. I wondered if Yukimura, right in the middle of the commotion, was still safe. The thought made my heart and my body feel nearly about to explode. But I couldn't afford to only worry about him. I had to save as many subjects as possible. Just a little farther. We're almost there. The narrow stairway was crowded. Despite their urgency to escape, the people were patient and let the weaker climb up first. After a little longer, we'd finally reached the hallway where we headed for, when...
Arrgh!
At the same time, the vassal running ahead of us had his shoulder clawed by a demon. They were here too? But we were so close! Just one more step!
Arrgh!
The remaining vassals attacked as a pair. Oh my god, my shouts are horrible. They managed to push the demon back into the room, but they were both clawed to death. Ugh.
Ugh.
Are you okay?
Yes, Princess, please go!
My eyes lit on the bow and arrow slung over my vassal's shoulder. Give me your bow. Princess! I shouted at the pale-faced handmaid. You guys go ahead.
But Princess!
The vassal too yelled in confusion. Exasperated, I grabbed the bow off his back. I wouldn't let anyone else perish. I'll be fine. You guys go ahead. Where the hallway ends, underneath the scroll on the way, the floorboards can be moved. Pull on the handle underneath as hard as you can. Once you get inside, just keep heading to the right. I then turned to the remaining vassal and spoke. You go ahead of them. We can't be sure there are no demons outside. You understand? The vassal looked hesitant, but then placed his quiver in my outstretched hand.
May fortune smile upon you.
I nodded and took up the bow. The demon at last fought off the valiant vassals' bodies and unsteadily got to its feet. I may have forgotten my brother and my father, but I still knew who I was. I loved archery. Since I was a child, I'd enjoyed horses, tree climbing, and archery more than any ladylike hobbies. I may not be good enough to go to battle, but... Please, Yukimura, give me strength. Strength like yours, brave enough to go alone after a comrade in danger without fear of getting hurt. As I prayed, I pulled back the bowstring. I took my aim. With a target this large, I can't miss. As I spoke, I let fly my arrow. With a snap of the bowstring, the bow flew on a straight course toward the demon, and then bounced away. What? Could the demon's skin seriously be that hard?
Gah.
The demon laughed, his lip curled into a sneer at my sheer helplessness. Not yet. I'm not giving up yet. I couldn't give up. I couldn't let Yukimura fight all alone. With quaking hands, I raised the bow. The eyes are the mouth! Again! I shot off another arrow, and it hit the back of the wall. Oh, they're getting worse. One more! I would shoot arrow after arrow until they were all gone. The demon closed in, slowly, as if purposely trying to torment me. Nervously, I started to sweat, and my hands grew slick. My shaking hands and pounding heart grew worse, and I hardly even set my aim. One more! Tears mingled with my breath. I couldn't cry. If my vision blurred, I wouldn't be able to aim. The demon was right in front of me. I was so tired. The strength was rapidly leaving my arms. I could no longer shoot. The demon's hand raised out toward me. Yukimura! It was no use. Just as the thought ran through my head, the arrow flew. Huh? I looked up. My arrow had pierced the demon's eye. Covering his eye, the demon reeled in pain, tripping on his own feet. Then, all of a sudden, breaking through the door, the demon was hurled down out of the castle. I stared in shock at the hole ripped open in front of me and the night sky beyond. I did it? The instant I relaxed, my bow fell to the floor. My hands and legs were shaking violently. Yukimura, I did it. You gave me the strength I needed. I stood up to the demon. I've got to go now. Encouraging on my shaking legs, I hurried after the others. There was no sign of anyone around. Apparently, they'd found the hidden door all right. Thank God.
Well now, are you sure about that?
The voice that answered my whisper came from my breast. The dagger jeered at me with a grating voice.
It's over. It's all over. And now the castle will fall too.
I shall ignore the dagger. I didn't want to ask the dagger for help anymore. It was an evil creature. It might have great powers, but I knew well it was a relative of evil demons. In pitch-black darkness, I traversed the hidden path behind the secret door. What about Yukimura? Why didn't I stay back to go find him? To the right, to the right. Finally, after a long road, my field of vision suddenly expanded. I'd come out on the other side of the castle wall. There was a hidden door amongst the stone. On the other side of the door, I came up amongst all the people, wearily crouched on the forest floor. Princess, you're safe! Noticing me, a handmaid came running over. You guys all made it. What about the demons?
They haven't made it this far yet, apparently.
The vassal, a cloth wrapped around his shoulders, hung his head. We still can't let our guard down. I know you're all tired, but we have to hurry and... I stopped when I saw a figure stumbling as it ran toward us. At first I thought it was a demon, but then I realized it was the size of a human. When the man got closer, I shouted in a voice full of emotion.
The signal flare! There's a signal flare going up from near the Rokaku Kanonji Castle.
What?
Our lord has slain Rokaku Takayori.
So that meant... If Hanbei's intuition was correct, the demons would disappear. Does that mean the castle and all the people were saved this time? Overcome, I put a hand to my chest. Beneath my hand, I felt the dagger begin to shake. Huh? I let out a loud... It let out a loud evil cackle, and then...
Mission accomplished!
The dagger's voice echoed out among the trees surrounding the castle. Birds, frightened at once, flew away in a panic. That was scary!
Where on earth did that voice come from?
Right in the midst of all the suspicious people, I took out the dagger. Something rattled noisily in its sheath. When I pulled the dagger out, the blade had been broken into a million pieces. Huh? The instant the broken pieces hit the ground, they abruptly started to rust and turn into dust. Following after, the sheath and handle began to crumble like ash in my hand. What on earth? Just what was going on? As I stood there paralyzed, I suddenly heard a bright voice.
Saya!
Yukimura emerged from the hidden path. Yukimura, you're okay! I ran over to him and he caught me in his arms. From behind him came all the vassals.
We made it right through. Though I can't say the same for the castle. After all I said about pledging my life to protect it, I'm a failure.
No, don't say that. As long as all the people lived, the castle could always be rebuilt. Yukimura too smiled and nodded.
Anyway, did you hear? The signal flare went up.
I heard. It's truly wonderful. Yukimura grinned and nodded, and then, his arm around my shoulders, looked out over the people. Then, he boldly addressed them.
Everyone, you've all been through a lot, but now the demons will be gone for good.
I smiled and looked around at all the subjects. I had fully expected to be met with cheers and applause. I thought that we would be met with joy. But it wasn't so. Instead, turned on us were suspicious gazes. They forgot already?
Who is that?
The man just who? Everyone was staring at Yukimura. Huh?
What are you guys talking about? And...
With looks of wonder, the people gazed up at the castle.
Wasn't the castle destroyed?
Those words were like a trigger in my mind. I didn't even have time to scream. A sound like an avalanche roared around me. And then, the next instant, everything around me came tumbling down. Ah, what a place to stop. Alright, so with that ending, we shall continue in the next episode. Hopefully it's a decent length. But it doesn't matter because I'm uploading a whole bunch of videos on Monday anyway, so it really shouldn't matter to anybody. So I hope to see you there shortly, or in some of my other videos. And I would be so grateful for any likes, comments, or subscriptions, or shares with your friends to show some support. Thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you all health, happiness, and safety. Dirili signing out. Bye-bye, everybody.